And to talk about Google Ads today. You guys that have been in our Discord group chat and probably our Facebook group as well, probably seen that we've started to crank out some more marketing efforts over the last 2 weeks specifically, but we really had some time to really dive into that this week and just learn a lot about optimizing, learn about different types of almost like short code we can enter to kind of automate our ads. We're going to talk about a little bit of that, kind of scratch the surface. Don't want to give you all just too much information in terms of just making your head spin or anything like that. We'll probably continue our Google Ads series that we've been doing for at least a couple of years now on this channel. I kind of hit on it a little bit here and there when we're diving more so into it. And if you're wondering who the heck is this guy that popped up on your feed, what qualifies me to even talk about any of this, I actually own the company Preferred Pest Management in the Dallas, Texas area. I'm not like a marketing expert trying to sell you all marketing services or anything like that. I just document my overall business journey, things that work for us, things that don't work for us, and just give you all the information that I go through every hour of the day. If any of that interests you, you can feel free to subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. And if you're going to be joining live, as a matter of fact, our lives are Q&A format specifically, of course. So if you do have any questions as we're going throughout, the entire stream, be it about the subject at hand or just, growing your business, starting your business, whatever the case may be, then feel free to shout it out in the chat. But where to begin? So like I said, we've been running this Google ad now for about a week and a half, right around that 2-week mark. And we have finally kind of got our conversion tracking set up, and not just set up, but we actually do have it automated a little bit as well. Like I said, we'll dive into some of that. So just to kind of give you just the basic information first and foremost, like what are we running? What search terms are we popping up for? What led to the conversion? Just, what matters most at the end of the day, right? So this week we spent from Monday through Friday, only about $75, nothing crazy. That led to 6 clicks and 1 conversion. So not bad overall. Something like about 17% conversion rate, something like that off the top of my head. Search terms that we popped up for, relatively what we want to be popping up for: exterminator prices, local exterminators, pest control agency near me was a good one. In terms of like, I never heard of that one before, but it fit the term, pest control near me, of course. Average pest control costs. And I'm going to get into like some of these as well, because we're running a couple of different, not campaigns, but running like A to B tests and, a different test with this and that. Like I said, we're going to dive into a lot in today's stream in what will be a short amount of time today. So we'll dive into all that. But like I said, you can see here overall, all these terms are terms we definitely want to be showing up for. Some of these are ones that you just wouldn't even think of. Local bug spray companies, that is showing up under pest control near me. One thing I will say, if you notice, this says triggered by your keyword pest control near me, exact match. Even though local bug spray companies, that is not an exact match whatsoever. I have noticed this big shift in Google Ads recently, which is why I would never, ever, ever, ever suggest right now using broad match or phrase match keywords. If you don't know what we're referring to right now, don't worry. We'll dive into some of those basics here in a second. But of course, we have the Google Ads series. I have a playlist of Google Ads videos you can look at as well for just kind of more so like a step-by-step if you wish. But I would definitely, when you're first starting your campaign, do a lot of exact match until you get the ad dialed in to where, like right now, we're starting to get a lot of search terms that like we really want to pop up for. And then you start noticing your impressions are kind of dropping off because of that. If I pull up our impressions here, you'll see our impressions are not very high. We've had 110 impressions over 5 days. Like, that's not a lot. 15 impressions, 24, 27, 37, like just not a lot of impressions. So like now we are slowly transitioning over the next week or two, probably into introducing some phrase match keywords to maybe kind of open up a little bit of that search volume a little bit more, but I don't know for sure. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But in terms of the conversion, if we actually dive into the campaign here, we'll actually go down into our spring ads. I know it's not spring yet where you guys are, but we're already in like the 70s down here in Dallas. So that's why we went ahead and fired back up our spring campaign. And as you can see here, we have our general pest control ad group and general pest control ad group B test with cheaper keywords. MOF means middle of the funnel, which means, people that are kind of, when it comes to pest control services, it's a little bit simpler in terms of the whole funnel journey. Like you have beginning of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel type of thing in terms of the sales process. Pest control is relatively simple, right? I mean, sure, there are some broader keywords, but those are people that are more so looking for information more than anything. People in the middle to the bottom are generally who we're looking to target, right? People that are looking for like pest control prices, pest control near me, how much does pest control cost? Middle of the pack, or middle of the funnel keywords, I should say, are those keywords that are kind of like hitting on pricing and like how much should I expect to cost, or who's the best near me, like stuff like that. And then our actual main campaign, or I guess I should say ad group within the campaign, in terms of the structure, our main one is focusing on the high intent bottom of the funnel. Like they're looking to make a decision, pest control near me, rodent control near me, local exterminators, just terms like that, right? So we're going to start with this one because this is kind of like our main one, and then we'll dive in a little bit here into this other test that we're running as well, and just give you guys insights on that. So like we said, so far on this ad group, we've had 91 impressions, 3 clicks, and 1 conversion. So in terms of this campaign, this ad group, I should say, altogether, we're at a 33% conversion rate based on that, which is not bad. In terms of impressions to clicks, obviously it's relatively low, something like 3 to 5%. But I have shifted more so from focusing on what our click-through rate. Obviously, you don't want your click-through rate to be trash, like 1% or 2% or anything like that. But as long as my click-through rate at this point is around like 3% or better, I'm not really going to be too awfully worried about it, because how we're trying to structure our campaigns now is we're kind of getting rid of the customers who are going to be, just kind of, they're in that middle of the funnel, so to speak, right? Like this is bottom of the funnel. These are people that are going to be high converting leads, like people that know what to expect or pretty close to it. They might have a couple questions, but like they're pretty much ready to go. So with that, you're going to have a lower click-through rate because, we're listing like what the price is to get started versus saying $50 off or, some number like that. So with that, when people see our ad, they're going to either A, be like, oh, that's a pretty good deal, let's go ahead and sign up for that. I just want to ask questions or whatever. Or B, they're going to see that and be like, that's too much. Like, I'm not going to pay for that, and then not click on our ad. Does that make sense? So it's going to lower your click-through rate, but your conversion rate and the quality of those conversions in terms of the leads is going to be higher because of that. So when we go down here, this is the thing, is like you can see your entire account overview, then you can see the campaign overview, then you can click into what we're in right now, which is this ad group. So as you can see here, we have filters, all campaigns, spring campaign, and then our general pest control is the actual ad group we're looking at. You can break this down even further based on the ads that you have set up, and then of course your keywords, which we will dive into that. But just to give you guys, again, just a little bit more information just about how this ad group's working out. We are running this campaign 24 hours a day, roughly. Again, we're going through a lot of information here, so just stay with me. I'll tell you guys how we're doing that and how we're paying a lot less for click with the automations that we have set up here in a second, or in a little bit. But let me see if we have any questions really quickly. Doesn't look like we do. If we have any questions or anything like that, do not hesitate to let me know. Drop it in the chat. If I lose you, or if you have some question just about anything we're going over, or if you're seeing this after the fact and it's a video, you can drop it in the comments as well. But as you can see here, we're starting to kind of slowly but surely get some data in terms of what hours, what days, are starting to perform best. This will continue to fill in as this campaign matures. You can view more detail. This is just kind of what I like to call the broad view of your ad. You're going to see that, of course, we're not bidding on tablets at all, minus 100%. Computers were at minus 20%, which is why quite a few are not coming, from the computer. And then mobile phone, of course, we're not really making any adjustments. We're just letting our automation and everything in terms of our manual CPC bids take over for that. It will tell you, of course, what is your most shown ads, which is kind of interesting that this is the most shown, being that it's had 45 impressions and, no clicks. But, you can scroll through here and see like this one right here, 40 impressions, 3 clicks, 7.5 CTR. This so far is obviously our best performing ad. This is what led to our conversion, which funny enough is actually one of our tests that we ran. Let me see what we got here. There we go. I have stuff set up on all my screens today so I can see your all's comments and everything a lot quicker. Let's see here. So yeah, like I said, this is the one that's obviously performing the best right now. But the thing is when you're first starting your campaign, Google's going to kind of take all of your headlines and descriptions that you give and use their AI to kind of play around with different headlines and things like that. Now you can go in and pin them to let Google know, like, hey, I want this one to always show up as the first headline. So like if you pinned it to headline 1, this where it says $79 pest control treatment, this would be your H1, your headline 1, if that makes sense. Each line is a different one. So you have 1 spot, 2 spot, and then 3 spots right here. Like we said, this one here is not performing very well at all, which is good to know for whenever we go to create another test. We'll just take pretty much 1 or 2 of the headlines out, and then we'll do another test, leaving the headlines the same, changing the description. I can already tell based on how this one is set up, too many things about $79 in here. Just too much. So I'm surprised they're still giving that one as many impressions as it has. But this one, we definitely want to hit hard on. So we'll go ahead and break this down here. We'll go into ads. And then you can see here, we have different ads set up here. We have 3 total. So you can see I have this one labeled as B copy. This is the B test. So what we did with this one is we essentially changed a couple of the headlines and then like 1 or 2 of the descriptions, if I remember right, compared to the original one. And this is very easy to do, as a matter of fact. So once you get your ad actually completely set up, all you're going to need to do is click it, and then you'll click edit, you'll hit copy. And then once you would copy it, you could, you're going to unselect it, and then you just hit create ad. And then there's like an area you can hit paste essentially once you've copied it. So you're just essentially copy and pasting the ad. Then you would click into your new ad, which will pop up down here like this one did. Click it, edit what information you want to edit to run your B test or C test, D, E, F, whatever, however many tests you're running at the end of the day. And then you're up and going. So as you can see, this one, our B test that we're running right now, is carrying this campaign right now. Call ad, we'll probably end up shutting that off in all honesty. I noticed Google's kind of phasing out the call extension or call ad, whatever you want to refer to it as. Anyways, like they're not getting impressions. Think about it. When's the last time you've gone to Google looking for a service? And obviously you have the Google local service section where you can call people, but when's the last time you've really seen an ad where the phone number was like the main link that popped up? Not very common, right? So they're definitely phasing this out. From what I've understood by my research of just different Google Ads experts is they expect this to kind of just go away anyways in 2025. So I'll probably end up just taking this off altogether because it's just wasting impressions anyways at the end of the day. But as you can see, like we just fired this one up, I want to say Wednesday afternoon. We had some rain down here in Dallas this week, so I had some time to create a test here. And I believe this one's been going since like Wednesday. And as you can see, I mean, it has less impressions and 3 clicks already. Average cost per click under $18, so not really bad. And then our total cost is $53.48, which obviously led to our conversion. So we essentially paid $53 for that lead, which is not horrible. If you know anything about lead costs in terms of like Google local services, Google ads, things of that nature, $53, like it's not bad at all. Like you will take that for your lead cost all day long. So if we actually go in here and actually, I don't want to take a look into the ad yet. What I want to show you guys is how you can continue to just break this data down to see like, okay, so this ad's performing well. Well, I want to see, the keywords, like what happened with the keywords, which one was it that led to the conversion? And as you can see, we have 2 clicks from search term pest control near me, CTR of 8.3%, average cost per click, $15. Our impression share in terms of like top of the page, those top 2 or I think 3 listings were over 1/3 of the time, which is decent. I would ideally like it over like 50-60%, but we're working our way up there. You can always adjust your max CPC and then edit it in your automations that we'll talk about here in a little bit as well. But as we can see, like everything overall is not bad in terms of this quality score. You don't necessarily need to worry about. Now, you don't want this being at like a 1 or 2, but as long as it's like a 3, 4 higher, then like don't really worry about it. The main thing you're going to want to focus on is what is Google saying your ad relevance is, what's the landing page experience like. As long as that is average, above average, or excellent, then you're going to be sitting pretty good overall. All this really matters about anyways is how much more Google is going to make you pay for the clicks and for the impressions and things of that nature. So like I said, it's stuff that more so you can kind of tweak on a little bit as you get your campaign up and going, if that makes sense. But as we can see, the conversion rate obviously is high right now just because this ad is still relatively young. But we did get the one conversion. The conversion on that search, that keyword, I should say, was $31.28. So when you continue to break it down, you'll start to see as you get more and more data in your account, like, okay, this keyword we're having to pay like $31 for a conversion. This keyword we're paying like $70 for a conversion. Maybe we want to just back off that keyword a little bit, or maybe we want to dive into the landing pages and see like what's going on, like where is the disconnect. Pull up your Microsoft Clarity, see where people are bouncing in terms of your bounce rate and stuff like that. Like there's a lot that you can really dive into with this, but you're probably wondering, what does this mean? Like this whole final URL. Well, what we have actually done is for every keyword that we have created what's called a dynamic keyword insertion. And if we actually go over to our WordPress, you'll actually see we have a plugin called Dynamic Keyword Injector. Now, this can get complicated, so I'm not really going to dive into this a lot. Like I'll probably do a whole nother video about this for you guys, for those of you that have a WordPress website. But you just get this, which is free, by the way. They have a free version. That's all I use right now. You just get this, activate it, click on update title. I mean, you can update a whole bunch of stuff, obviously, if you wanted to, but that's all that I have right now updated. And then from there, we will actually go back into our pages. We'll click on just the tags with advertising. And we kind of hit on this a little bit, I believe, in a previous streamer video, but I want to just dive into it a little bit more for just a second. So this is the one where we have the conversion, right? So when we click on it, you don't see any of that, right? Like it just says call us now to secure your $79 service. You don't see anything at all in this whatsoever. Why? Because we loaded up the main page. This is what we see, only us at the end of the day. Now, if somebody, going back over to our Google Ads, if somebody were to search for a search term that popped up under the keyword pest control near me, for example, and they clicked on it, this is what would show up for them. So if we click that, we go over here. So see what changed here? It says pest control near you for $79 today. And if you look in the link, which I don't think you guys can actually see the link URL, but the link URL says what you see right here, the whole https preferredpestmanagement.org/. So you still have your original get your first service $79, but then it inserts that dynamic keyword equals pest control near you for $79, which was, of course, on that landing page, right? And then it says for the page title, pest control near me. That way we know, say CallRail for some reason has an issue, which we know CallRail from time to time can have an issue with the whole tracking and everything like that. If all else fails, we will still know when they call us or submit a form that this was the URL, which therefore lets us know, okay, that came from the keyword pest control near me. And worst case scenario, we can go enter that as an offline conversion in the Google Ads, if that makes sense. So this is a matter of control to a degree, like controlling your ad and really just dialing that into where if technology fails you, like CallRail, Zapier, things of that nature, if it starts to fail for some reason, you will be able to track it with the URL, if nothing else. And like I said, that is a plugin that you can actually put on your website if you have a WordPress website. And then if we actually take a look, if we go back into it, I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like on the back end. So if we go over to edit, I want to do that. So if we go into this back end here, you'll see what I was talking about. So this is the title, right? You have to insert this at the very top. That way it knows based on whatever keyword pops up, that is what needs to be in the title of the URL. And then when we scroll down here a little bit, take this off of here. When we scroll down here a little bit, again, in our H2 or H1, whatever this is, yeah, H2, again, we insert it here, keyword default equals get your pest control service, get your $79 pest control service. So that means if for some reason there's an issue or for some reason they manage to access this page on accident without the keyword triggering, it will show get your $79 pest control service. It'll look like this essentially. Get your $79 pest control service, right? So it's a little bit of coding to a degree, but it's very light because, like I said, all you're doing is you're downloading that plugin I showed you guys a couple minutes ago, and then you just literally copy this little bit of code right here, and then in between what are these, parentheses or whatever, you put what you want to show. If for some reason that keyword doesn't fire, which it's never happened to me, but what you would want to be replaced, and then boom, you close your bracket, boom, you're good to go. Same thing with the title up here. So then, like I said, whenever going back to Google Ads, if somebody typed in a search term relatively close to pest control near me, this is the link structure that would pop up. And then, of course, like I said, because we have CallRail integrated as well for more tracking purposes, there would be even more attached to the URL. Matter of fact, I can even show you guys an example. I'm going to pull up our CallRail on the back end here really quick. Give me just a second here. Let me see. Do we have any questions or anything so far? Hopefully I'm not losing you guys. I see we keep having like a couple people jump in and jump out. Hopefully everybody's able to follow me and at least to some degree, right? Let me see. Have to sign in. Give me just a second. Close. So I'm just pulling up a recent form as an example that we had come in from the Google ad. When was it? Like 1 or 2 nights ago. Let's see. Go into the customer timeline. Pull this up, and I'll scroll down just a little bit. And there we go. So we'll share this tab. Awesome. So see this long URL here. So this, because of CallRail, is what the URL ends up looking like, which doesn't matter at the end of the day. We've all seen it, right? Whenever you click on a web page and you see that the URL is massively long, like everybody's used to that at this point. This is just for our tracking purposes. So you see here, it shows again what page they showed up for. It tells us what the page title was, which was, of course, the keyword in this case, pest control near me. Tells us all this information we need. We would love to have like the campaign ID, the ad group ID, even down to the creative. I mean, it shows you everything that you need to know about the ad. And then, of course, you get their GCLID for, again, just more tracking purposes. And then, of course, down here you have your keyword that it showed up for as well. I mean, you get more than enough information at the end of the day. It just makes it awesome, in my opinion, in terms of taking your tracking to the next level, if that makes sense, and just optimizing, knowing that what you're doing is working or what you're doing is not working. That way you can pivot, right? Because I know from my own experience, I was going to say I feel like, but I know from my own experience, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this too, that have ran Google ads. Like when you run a Google ad and like you see the clicks start coming in, you see your balance in your Google ads account start going up. If you can't know for certain that like this call came from my Google ad or this lead, like this form on the website came from my Google ad, then you're just kind of like, I don't know if I should even keep doing this. Like I'm paying $500 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever the case may be, but I have no way of knowing that my Google ad is working or not. That can literally drive you crazy. I know from experience. So that is why I've spent all this time over the last couple of years just taking in all this information. I spent like 12 hours on, was it Udemy or whatever, on a couple Google ads courses and things like that over the last week or two. And just really trying to take our advertising and marketing efforts to the next level this year. Like I said, we have some lofty goals for this year. We're tired of yeah, don't get me wrong. You're content with your journey. You love the journey and everything, but we're tired of just being a six-figure company at the end of the day. This year, next year, so on and so on. We want to go up to that next level. And to do that, you have to get the marketing dialed in because, with your Google business profile, your website SEO, sure, you're going to get 40 in our area, 40 or so, 100 even leads per month. But to really take it to the next level, you're going to need the marketing dialed in. So, trying to see where we should go next from here. So like I said, for every keyword, I can show you guys just a couple examples here. So you'll see pest control service. If we click this one and go over to this tab, DFW's best pest control service. Now we could probably make this better. Again, this was just getting the ad set up more than anything. And then of course, like we have our long URL for tracking and everything. I'll show you guys just like one more example here. Let me see. I accidentally messed up our studio. Let's see, share screen, allow, and we want to go back into Google Ads. There we go. I'll show you guys one more just as an example. So say we did pest control Wiley, which I'm actually surprised some of these are saying below average for our landing page experience, which is kind of interesting, something to keep an eye on. But let's say somebody clicked on this one. Again, go over here, get the best pest control in Wiley for $79. And again, this is going to make your cost per click lower, guys, because you got to think, if you just have one landing page that says, get the best pest control service for $79, right? Sure, that's going to look good if we go back over to Google Ads again. That's going to look good for these search terms up here, like pest control near me, like search terms that have like pest control in it, right? Hence why, these are looking pretty good overall. But if we scroll down here to say exterminator, for example, having the search term like pest control in there and then not having exterminator is not going to help us in terms of Google wanting to show that ad to people. Google wants to see if they click into the link that, oh, okay, there's exterminator. Oh, what other keywords do we have in here? Oh, best exterminator. Okay. Exterminator near me, near you. Everything, schedule your $79 service. Like they want to see that you have those keywords in your landing page, in your headlines, things of that nature. We could even take this a step further and start like inserting the keywords like in our descriptions and things of that nature. Like we could say, get your first extermination service for $79, like something like that. If we really, really wanted to, I'm not right now just because I don't think that's really necessary, to be honest, but we'll see, right? That's the thing with landing pages and A to B to C to D, E, F, G, element, OP test is you can test so many different things to see what Google likes and more than anything what the user likes. Because like I said, when we go back to Google Ads, you'll see it'll say quality score 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 3 out of 10, below average, like whatever the case may be. Sure, you want these metrics relatively good. You don't want it to say poor, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, ideally not even 3 out of 10, but 3 or higher and average or better, you can't really complain. And then your cost per click will really tell the story, because if you're paying a massive amount for your cost per click compared to the competitors, that lets you know where you stand with Google on that keyword. You may just want to remove that keyword altogether, or you may want to go create a different landing page for that keyword, if that makes sense, or make some adjustments to it. So, something to definitely always keep your eye on and consider. When we come back here, I'm going to take a quick break just to take a drink. And whenever we come back, if you all have any questions about what we've talked about over the last, it's already been half an hour. Wow. Feel free to drop it down in the chat, of course, or like I said, if you're watching on video, you can drop it down in the comments after, if you see this after it goes from a video to, or a live stream to a video. After this, or after I come back, we're going to talk about the automation side of it that I was referring to, about how we're able to run this campaign 24 hours a day, so we can get leads coming in, and not just get leads, but we're actually messaging the leads without even being awake, continuing that customer journey, and much more. Like I said, diving into a lot today for you guys. And like I said, if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Drop it down in the chat below. All right, we are back. Let's see if we have any questions or anything here. Doesn't look like we do so far. Yeah, if y'all do come up with any questions or anything, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. Like I said, we're going to kind of move over to kind of the automation side of it. So without getting over technical about just how we do this, what we'll do is we'll kind of go back to just the overview, right? We're going to start it say you just logged in. And, if you don't have an ad set up or anything, of course, you won't really see any of this, but let's assume that you do have an ad set up here. What you'll do is from here, you'll go over to tools, and then you'll see, bulk actions? Yeah, you'll go over in here to bulk actions, and then you see this where it says scripts. So what you'll do is you'll actually go into scripts. You can see here we have a few of these enabled already. And you can see here, so we have a couple different ones here. We have auto decrease. So I'll just kind of click on it here. Auto decrease all keyword bids by 75% between, wish my keyboard would turn on. There we go. Between the hours of 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. So that means when you saw what I was bidding on the keywords a little bit ago, where it said $19, $20, $15, whatever the case may be, that is going to drop by 75% between the hours of 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. And there's obviously a whole bunch of code that has to be put in here, and you're probably wondering, how the hell am I supposed to do that? Easy. I don't write code. ChatGPT writes the code. So what you do is you go into ChatGPT, you tell it what script code you need based on what you want. And from there, it will type up all of this code for you. And then you just copy and paste it in there. ChatGPT is getting really good to the point now. It'll even tell you what you need to enter in on your own. Entering in your sheet ID and things of that nature from Google Sheets. It's amazing how far ChatGPT has come lately, which is why, hint, hint, why I asked you guys on our post on YouTube earlier this week in that poll that I ran, are you using ChatGPT in your business? And if not, why? Because, it's getting crazy. The fact that if I were to have somebody do all this, write this code for us, this would cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And I did it. I did all this. You can see here, January 27th, 8:43 p.m., January 27th, 8:49 p.m. I had some dinner in between here and put the kids down for bed. But January 27th, 7:25 p.m., January 27th, 9 p.m. So you can see here, it did not take a lot of time to do this. Don't get me wrong, ChatGPT is not going to get it perfect the first time. But the good thing is Google will kind of give you the error code. You'll copy that error code, paste it into ChatGPT, and say, Google gave us this error, please fix it. And then it'll do its magic, and then boom, you put it back in there. And you might have to do it a couple of times. But guess what? Eventually, after, in most cases, from what I've experienced, 2 or 3 times of doing it, I mean, you can see we had like 6 minutes, 11 minutes. And then, of course, we had like I said, about an hour, hour and a half here, but that's because we had dinner and put the kids down for bed. But so like we said, this one here, it'll auto decrease the keyword bid by 75% overnight. That way, whatever clicks we're paying for, we're paying a lot less. So say a lead falls through the cracks for whatever reason, even after all of our automation setup that we'll continue to talk about Zapier here in a second with auto conversation starters and things like that. Say for some reason that lead still falls through the cracks. It's not the end of the world, because instead of paying, say, $20 for a click, in that case, we probably paid somewhere closer to like $10 or something like that, because it's not necessarily 75%. And I'll explain to you guys why. So what happens is whenever these two are working together, this one and then this one. So this one here, you see where it says position 1.5, 10% bid adjustments. So what is happening is, let's see, this script adjusts the CPC bids of keywords based on position labels assigned to each keyword. Labels should follow the format, which is the whole 1.5, position 1, position 1.5. The script operates between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. I forgot I actually edited that because that was a conflicting code that I had going on at first, because it was running overnight. So scratch what I just said about this running at night. This only runs during the day. So what's actually happening is during the day, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, the keywords that we have set up, which I'll actually pull up another Google Ads window, just that way we can kind of hop back and forth in between them here. We'll pull this window over here, and then we'll go back into our campaign here really quickly. And then we'll go into keywords. So see how some of these are labeled with the 1.5. You could label them with a 1, 1.5, 2, whatever the case may be. Most of them I just labeled 1.5 because what I'm telling it is I want this keyword to be bid for a top 2 position, if that makes sense. So we're aiming for top of the page. So by labeling it 1.5, we go back over here. It knows that, okay, during these times, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., we can raise our bids or decrease them in some cases, but rarely will decrease them. We can raise the bid by as much as 10% in order to maintain that number 1, number 2 spot. The minimum bid that we're willing to pay is $3. The maximum bid that we're willing to pay is $24, which I meant to adjust that to $25. So we'll do that. I guess you'll see live actually how it works, because we're going to save and we're going to run it. Run without preview, because I don't need to preview. And then you can see it's applying it. Boom. Done. Simple as that. And that's when you're editing it. Obviously, that's not putting the entire script in from scratch or anything like that. And this is where I figure some of you guys might have some questions. So if you have a question, don't hesitate to drop it down. That's what we do these streams for at the end of the day. But this is game changing. I cannot stress it enough. We'll go back into scripts here. You can see it didn't create like a whole new script. It just saved the script, and it said that, okay, he's now willing to pay as much as $25 for a bid if needed. But again, it won't exceed that 10% threshold. So say you're already bidding $20 on a keyword, it's not going to let it go up to $25. It's going to let it go up to like, what would that be? $22. Or if you're bidding $15, it'll let it go up to $16.50, right? So, and then again, we have this one where this is one that I actually really like, as a matter of fact. So auto pause keywords after 15 dead clicks is what we call it. So this script automatically pauses keywords across all campaigns that have received a specific number of clicks without generating any conversions. So we set this at 15. Because in my opinion, if we get, 10 to 15 clicks without a single conversion, no calls, no forums, anything like that, we need to do something about that. But I don't want to have to sit there and watch it all day either, right? Like I want to be able to check into it like maybe once a week because I got other shit going on as a business owner, right? Like I don't got time to be just babysitting this Google ad all the time, right? Even though I enjoy doing it, I don't want to have to do it, right? So we set that in place. That way, whenever we start to increase our budget, we only have our budget set at like $100 or $200 a day. Which, note, if you didn't notice, we're not spending $200 per day. We only spent $75 all week. So don't get scared of the budget per day. You have to set your budget per day at least relatively high. Otherwise, you're just not going to get activity on the ad because Google doesn't want to go over your monthly limit or daily limit even. So again, something else to kind of debunk with the whole daily ad budget, because rarely ever do you actually end up hitting that. Now, sure, during busy season, depending on what your busy season might be, you could definitely hit that. I'm not saying that, but like I said, we over the last week only had like $75 worth of clicks. So where we could have easily had $800 or no, $1,000 at $200 a day. So anyways, back to the whole point. So it's saying here, click threshold 15 clicks. If we get 0 conversions, cut the keyword off, meaning pause it. Now, it won't delete it, obviously, but you can see it'll pause it. And not only does it do that, it will send us an email. You enter in your email that you want it to let you know, and then it'll send the subject saying auto pause keyword report. It will send you the report of keywords that have been paused. That way you don't even, like I said, if you really wanted to, you could automate this stuff to the point where realistically you could check this like once a week, once every 2 weeks. It just depends on how much control and dialed in your ad is already too, because you do have to dial the ad in a little bit before you can do this. Like I would not suggest, the only automation I would suggest early on is this one. The whole auto pause the keyword, especially if you're like very limited on time. That way, if you get, and I mean, you could set this at 5 clicks, you could set it at 10, you could set it for however many clicks you want. You could say, 100 if you wanted to. Like if your goal is a 5% conversion rate, you could say 20 clicks or whatever the case may be. I like 10 to 20 just as a good rule of thumb, especially again, when the ad is relatively early in its age and maturity, so to speak, of the campaign. I don't want to restrict it too much by doing like 5 to 10. I'll usually start with like 10 to 20 and then just kind of scale it back from there, especially once we start introducing phrase match keywords, because phrase match can obviously start to throw it off a little bit, which actually leads in to, I guess, what I wanted to just, in case if anybody doesn't know some of the basic stuff, if you're wondering like, what is this whole broad match, phrase match, things of that nature. So what will happen is, say you wanted to put in a keyword, right? They actually give you a little key here too. So it says broad match, you put it in, was this parentheses or whatever? Phrase match, you just enter the word, or no. Broad match, you just enter the keyword, with nothing. You just literally say pest control near me, whatever the case may be. Phrase match, you put the parentheses around it. I believe they're parentheses, but I'm not an English expert. And then for exact match, you put the brackets. So you see, we have pretty much nothing but brackets on our keywords that we're running right now. And that's what I always suggest people that are like just starting a campaign is always start with exact match. And then once you kind of start dialing the ad in, if you're not getting as many impressions, but you are getting some conversions and things like that, feel free to go ahead and start implementing like a couple of the phrase match ones. But I don't like broad match at all. Broad match, I notice it can be like just all over the place. Like pretty much if it's remotely, say you did pest control broad match, you could have stuff for like freaking lawn pest control. You could have just somebody looking up a random type of insect. Like you could just have all sorts of crazy stuff at the end of the day. Not to mention, of course, competitors and things like that, which don't get me wrong. Sometimes it is beneficial to bid on competitor keywords, but that would be a test that you would run. Like you would run like a test competitor keyword ad group, something like that, where you'd enter like Terminix, Orkin, Active, whatever companies are near you that you know get a lot of traffic. And obviously you bid very, very low on those keywords, right? Because you're going to get a lot of people calling on accident, obviously. But there are benefits to that too, just not very many, which is why we don't really do it a lot. But I wanted to hit on that just really quickly in case if anybody like is still like relatively new to Google keywords and just like, what are you talking about with like phrase match, broad match, exact match, all that stuff. So then in terms of continuing like the whole automation setup, so to speak, if we pull up, I'm trying to log into our Zapier here really quickly. If we go into our Zapier account, I'm going to go into our Zaps and then we'll share this. You can see here we've set up quite a few different automations over the last week. I need to go in here and title some of these, but the easiest ones to kind of just scratch the surface with, you can set up your Google campaign to pause when there's like a 70% chance of rain, pause when it's going to get below 35 degrees based off of the weather, things like that. I don't have these running right now just because we don't really even have risk of any of that really happening right now. Not to mention, for the most part, I kind of like for my ads to still run anyways. I might actually edit this to like 25 degrees, like something like really cold, where we're going to be down for a day or two anyways. Like no point really running the ad for pest control, but we actually did get a lead during the rain. So yeah, we went in and just shut those off for now. But what I'll show you guys, at least so you know kind of how it's set up, is pretty simple as a matter of fact. So you'll have weather by Zapier that you'll insert in here. It'll ask for the latitude, longitude of, the town, so to speak, that you wanted to pull the weather from. So you'll just Google that and then paste that into here. You'll test it. It'll come back good. And then from here, you'll be like, only continue if max temperature is less than, and then 35. That'll let it know that if this max temp is saying 34, 33, 10, whatever, then go into our Google Ads, go into the campaign, pause it, and then boom. Simple as that, right? So not very difficult to set that one up at all. It's actually one of the more basic ones, believe it or not. So the next one, which I think you guys will really like, especially those of you that are like OpenPhone users and you want to like run your campaign overnight. So this says Google Ad Call Conversion Automation. So we'll go in here. This is one that I just created the other day. So phone call starts, right? You connect your call rail. It'll say phone call starts. It'll split it into two paths based on if this happens, do this. If this happens, do that, which you can rename it to, like if we answer the call, if we don't answer the call, if it's after this time, if it's before this time, whatever the case may be. So this one here, the rule that we had set up is phone call answered contains true, because that means that we answered the call. From there, it will only continue if the total calls matches 1, meaning it's a first-time caller. Makes sense, right? From there, it will send it to Google as a conversion based on, of course, the Google Click ID, all that fun stuff, timestamp it, whatever it needs at the end of the day. And then after that, it will also go ahead, enter all that information into Google or to GorillaDesk. Now, let's just say the opposite happens. Say instead of this saying true, it says false because we didn't answer the phone in this case, right? It was an unanswered call for whatever reason. It'll still only continue if it was, if the source name matches Google Ads in the time is after 7 p.m. or is before 7 a.m. So this is like if we're closed, like say we're sleeping overnight and a call comes in and we don't answer it. Well, from there, it'll open up our OpenPhone and it will send them this text message. It'll say, hey, this is Griffin with Preferred Pest Management. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to earn your trust and business We are currently closed, but don't worry. You can respond to this text message to give us details about your issue. We will call you when we open at 7 a.m. Look forward to working with you. And then, of course, you don't want it to mark the conversation as done. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it in your inbox and OpenPhone in the morning. And then from there, it will only continue to these actions. If it was the first call, assuming it was the first call, same thing as over here. It'll send it as a offline conversion over to Google Ads, and then enter that as a lead into GorillaDesk. So very, very, very good and just neat, awesome, whatever rule you want to use at the end of the day. Setup automation that we have in Zapier. You don't even have to do it just with Google Ads, right? Like say you have now, to be fair, OpenPhone does have like automated text in their platform. So like say you have hours set in OpenPhone, it'll automatically like send that message to them. So you don't necessarily need to set this up for like just that. The only reason that I set this up like this was because we've already had a Google ad lead come in at 3:30 in the morning the other day. And what we did for that, because it wasn't a phone call, it was actually a form, is we went in, let's see, I think it was this one. Yeah, our Google Ads after hours form submission. So a form is entered. Again, it only continues if it's after 7 p.m. or before 7 a.m. Sends them. This one's a lot easier, right? Because it's just a form. It'll send them the message, send it as an offline conversion, add as a lead. Same thing, just fewer steps because it's a form instead of phone call. And then obviously there's no if then with that. So because with the call rail one, it's taking in all the calls that come in from Google Ads. So to filter that, we said, if we put those filters in place where if it's between this time and this time, go ahead and go through. If it's not, then don't. If it's not the first time calling, then don't, things of that nature. So like I said, this can really, really change the game for you guys. If we go back into our Google Ads here really quickly, just go into overview, GPC ad group. I mean, you can see we paid less than $20 per click at the end of the day. And if we go back into our search keywords, you'll see even for a very, very expensive term that, by the way, we do have the max CPC set at $19. We're only paying $15.64 average cost per click. And by the way, we're almost at 50% of the impression share. That means just over 1 out of 3 people, just under half of people who are viewing, like looking up terms related to pest control near me, are seeing us at the top of the page, the top 2 or 3 spots of the advertising spaces. And we're only paying like $15 for that. So again, all this stuff that we've talked about today, it matters for your Google Ads. And I could definitely go into a lot more. We could talk about how we, set up the actual, not just the ad groups, but the ads within the ad groups, how we have this B copy here. Like we can take a look at just how, I did not mean to click on the link. We can look at the actual details of it, in terms of what do we have going on here with all the different headlines. Like what differences do we have with our headlines? What differences do we have with our descriptions? What's our difference with our landing page even? Like that is another subject for another video or stream, just because that's going to be another one that's relatively lengthy and we're already going on about an hour today. Man, I keep clicking on the link instead of clicking on the ad. But like I said, I mean, this is stuff that you want to do. And if you don't enjoy doing it, and this is what I was talking about when I was talking about pinning the headlines earlier on the stream, this is how you do that. That way you kind of have the control, which was kind of part of the test, to be a spoiler here. Part of the test was us pinning the positions and not just letting keyword planner, or not keyword planner, Google Ads running wild with it. Same thing with the descriptions. So, and as you can see, we kind of actually did better on the check marks than in the other one as well. So, like I said, I'll probably do another video about that at some point for you guys as well, just dive deep into doing. Why is this not capitalized? Let's see. That just bugged me. It should be capitalized. Huh. That's something I'm going to have to mess with after. See, it did it here, so I don't know why it didn't do it on the other one. I don't know. That's something I'll have to take a look at after the stream. But like I said, this is stuff that you're always just going to want to be taking a look at, especially like when you're early on in the campaign. When you're in that early stage of just figuring it out, right? Like you're trying to get this all cleaned up for you guys. When you're in that early stage of creating the campaign, and say you've never ran a campaign before, you have to understand that like advertising period is obviously going to be pay to play, but with Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever type of advertising you're running, it's unless if you're a marketing expert already, where you took a lot of courses, like you already know what you're doing, it's going to take a lot of testing early on. Like you're going to waste money, quote unquote, waste money. I don't even like to use the word waste because it's not wasting. It's like education. I didn't go to college for anything. Like I took a marketing course here and there, but I didn't actually like specialize in marketing or anything like that. So I knew even I was going to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just in education, if nothing else. Hundreds of hours watching content, going on Udemy and watching all these people talking about it. Someone had like 200 like 5 to 20-minute episodes that I just went one by one on 2x speed. And that was how I figured out how to do some of the automations with the short code on Google Ads specifically. I didn't even know that was a thing. And now I do. Like the faster that you speed up your timeline of learning is the faster that you're going to start seeing these Google Ads work for you. So don't get discouraged. I can't stress it enough. Do not get discouraged if you run a campaign and you get 20, 30 clicks and you don't get a lead at first. Or maybe you hit fool's gold and after 1 or 2 clicks or 5 clicks, you get a lead that sells. Like if you do, awesome. Don't get cocky though. Don't think that like, oh man, I found the hack, right? Like I found the ultimate blueprint to Google Ads or anything, right? Because as soon as you think that, you'll go 20 clicks without a single lead, right? So my suggestion to anyone running Google Ads, don't get too low on yourself on Google Ads. Don't get too high on yourself on Google Ads. Stay grounded, just like in business in general, right? Like if you're not learning, you're losing at the end of the day. Same thing with Google Ads. Like if you're not going in there at first every single day, trying to learn more, trying to make a new test, add another keyword, edit this, edit that, or not even just editing the campaign, but focusing on your education of Google Ads and consumer behavior, psychology of marketing, things of that nature, then, you can't be mad at the platforms for not performing at the end of the day. You can only be mad at the person in the mirror for not doing, like we always talk about on this channel, whatever it takes, right? That's what it comes down to. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the stream. I saw we didn't have that many people in here today. I'm kind of surprised by that. I'm trying to start scheduling these streams more and more advanced. I know I'm not great at that, but I'm trying to get more grip on my schedule a little bit and start posting these in terms of scheduling them a little bit further out, at least a couple hours to a day or so in advance. And hopefully over time, we'll get to a point where we're scheduling them days or weeks even in advance. If you're new to me, of course, like I said, my name is Griffin Thomas. I own the pest control company, Preferred Pest Management in the Dallas, Texas area. We've been in business for about 5 years now already, and I just document my overall business journey for you guys. I'm not like a marketing expert or anything like that. I just try to teach you guys things that I've learned over the years. Like I said, I'm always learning too. I look back at some of my videos and go, ooh, can't believe I believed that. And I've learned a lot since then, right? So, if that interests you at all, if you think you benefit from it, go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. And if you're seeing this after it goes from a live to a video, I'll try to remember to post some videos on one of these sides here. I think it's this one. I don't know. Of either a playlist or videos that could help you start and grow your business this year. And I will see you guys in the next video or stream. Take it easy, everybody.